Happy Saturday, everybody. I think we got one. 710 KNUS. We're Denver's talk station on a Saturday, December the 27th, 2025. 61 the high today, and then here it comes. Tomorrow, we got snow coming into the city. People are unsure how much we're going to get, but it's going to drop 6 degrees tomorrow night, and then Monday, 40 degrees. 303-696-1971. I'm back here on Monday morning. Coming up in studio, Joe Mahoney's with us, and I don't know if you have ever heard a term that is called news desert. And news deserts are communities that no longer are covered by daily or non-daily newspapers. The term emerges in this country. Hundreds of daily and weekly newspapers are closing down, and people are literally in a news desert. We'll talk about that and then what happens. The other one, and this is really your response. Last night I read a new study out, the decline in church going. And I talked to my boss, Kelly Michaels, about it this morning. And it's a call-in, 303-696-1971. Our country is undergoing its fastest religious shift in modern history, marked by rapid increases in religious unaffiliated people, but church closures. And so what we are saying in the study's interesting, people are no longer going to church in America. They find religious unaffiliated voters. You look at, then again, that's one segment of it. 57% of us today seldom or never attend religious services. That's a jump from 40% in the year 2000 to a recent Gallup survey. The unprecedented 15,000 churches are expected to shut their doors this year, far more than the few thousand expected to open, according to, it's called denominational reports, the leading experts. Before the pandemic, a church would expect to lose about 15% of its members year over year, a rate of 1.2 million leaving churches annually. The number's likely to accelerate. Now, the makeup, the racial makeup within Republican parties, within the Democratic Party, but by and large, the conclusion is people quit going to church. And there are the YouTube videos of speeches by, he was an agnostic, Carl Sagan, I met him. He was probably an atheist. Richard Dawkins, another one. And they're getting a lot of attention in their work, and they have been speaking against religion. And it is interesting, they have drawn millions of views on their YouTube channels, their YouTube outlets. America is unchurching. Now, 303-696-1971. Why don't you go to church? Number one. Number two, why did you quit? I thought a lot about this, especially at this radio station, but I thought, what a great Saturday question. Why don't you go to church? And I know people are going to be upset. They already are. But is this a causation, or is it just a coincidence, or the believing part of this? But a decline in church going in this country, and it's measurable, and it isn't. I listened quite a bit now to this radio station, and they make the claim that, hundreds of thousands of young people were returning to church. Apparently, that's just being said. It isn't true. The decision to not return to church or not go at all or quit. And again, there are people that talk about different parts of it, repealing the Sunday. Remember the blue laws? I grew up in a state that had really strong blue laws. Bars weren't open and you couldn't go shopping. Now, of course, everything's wide open. Wellesley College, University of Notre Dame, and Ohio State Studies. That's what I was reading, examined what happened. And don't you go, if you don't go to church, why? Why did you quit? Because you're not alone. the significance of this is very true. And so we will do this, get people's responses for it. It does matter. It's important in all kinds of different levels. But then we'll talk about what's called media deserts, and then we'll come back to this. Phones are lighting up already, 303-696-1971. I realize it's very interpersonal, and you don't have to give a name if you don't want to, but 57% of us, and this was the most interesting statistic I found reading the study, 57% of Americans today seldom or never attend what's called religious services. It's a jump from 40% in the year 2000. This is a recent Gallup survey, and you can throw rocks at anything you want to, but the evidence is pretty overwhelming. We have, in this country, quit going to church. And the makeup, I don't have names coming up on this at all, and so here comes Adam to the rescue. The makeup of Christians within each party, Democrats and, of course, Republicans, is vastly different, and it's shaping the influence of faith voters on Democrats, faith voters on Republican platforms as well. Here we go. All right. Adam came to the rescue. He saved the screen. We'll go to Herb, who's going to say, hey, Herb, good morning. You're on the show.
Good morning.
Hey.
Well, it's your faithful conservative Jew, and actually it's the opposite in Jewish circles.
Well, I can't. You got to be careful here, because when you do statistical analysis and variance, you can't say, there's an old law, I love statistics, all Indians walk in single file because the ones I saw did. So,
okay.
What is your source to say the things that you're saying?
Okay, I will clarify. I think I could agree with you. In more observant, Orthodox Jewish circles, more Jews are going to the synagogue based on what I've seen by going to many.
That's called
synagogues.
all Indians.
Yeah.
So it's your observation, and it's
correct.
Worth talking about.
And I think I've read this in Jewish periodicals too.
Again, you have to cite sources, and instead of saying
the Intermountain Jewish News Denver local paper
has said now what?
What I just said. Observance has increased.
Okay.
Especially over the last 2 years when there's been so much anti-Semitism.
Why do you? And that's probably included in all of this. You weigh and measure, but by and large, the studies say that Americans today are not going to church.
Well, I'm not talking about church. I'm talking about synagogue.
No. It's a religious service. It encompasses, synagogues, temples, shuls, churches, cathedrals. You name it, claim it. There, it's an umbrella. So, when they say religious decline, I'm sure they include, or don't. I mean, if Judaism has rising numbers of attendance, you're averaging out in religious belief, and the decline in church going is there.
Okay, decline in church going.
So explain it. Why do you think that's going on?
Why? Well, that's not really why I called.
Okay, go ahead. Right,
I didn't call to, push what you're saying. I'm telling you what I'm observing.
Listen, stop again. I'm not pushing anything. I'm asking people to want their opinions.
Okay, I gave you mine.
Okay, cool.
From my Jewish perspective, from what I've seen. Okay.
All Indians walk in single file. The ones I did. That's when you study statistics, and you sound like a smart guy. You can't just say your observation. You have to have a universe and everything to look at. And apparently, these people have Notre Dame University, which is a religious school. Ohio State's involved in the study. This isn't rinky-dink guys coming up with stuff. It's really what they're looking at. I think it's a really interesting question. If you go, why did you quit? And if you quit, why did you quit? And that's the question.
Well, I got to run because I got to get to the synagogue because I really enjoy going to the synagogue much more lately every Sabbath morning. So I got to run.
Okay, man, take care. 303-696-1971. The decline in church going. Why? Let me read you some. There's text messaging coming in. Let me get my little marker thing to work here. Peter, I stopped going to church because there are no longer any white churches where one is free of people who are natural criminals. Bring back white-only churches. Well, there's a big up. Well, I mean, it's not. I'm not throwing rocks at anybody, and it's just a great question. The United States of America is undergoing its fastest religious shift in modern history. It's marked by a rapid increase in religious unaffiliation and numerous church closures nationwide. The great unchurching of America. It's a reality, and it's increasingly shaped by what? Why? From the wall again. Let me make that click. Peter, I would think there would be, Peter, I would think there would not be news deserts with sites like X. I can't speak to that either because I'm bringing the expert in this morning to talk. I stopped watching any mainstream news decades ago because most are quite politically biased. I get great info and news on X. Well, that's fine, but once again, I mean, it's when you look at, and you do, statistical variances and evidences, you have to have a universe of study and control. And you can't say, that's not true because I go. There is a great line, I've done it twice now. All Indians, this is observation, all Indians walk in single file because the ones that I saw did. Well, does that talk to all Indians? No. Peter, this is from the wall again. I think it's not just about the pandemic that has caused a decline, but a few things. Public education, its zeal to educate students on hardcore positive worldwide worldview, which includes atheism and humanism. Also, people may view it as a social club. Things are not getting fed. They are a dead church. I know this was going to take some, and I thought about it last night when I thought I was going to do this, and I put this together, put it on my worksheet. Why don't you go to church, and why did you quit? And I thought, how is that going to work? And I think, yes, it will. But it matters. The great unchurching of America. And in spite of what's oftentimes said about everybody's returning to church, that doesn't seem to be the truth. Nearly 3 in 10 American adults today don't have any sense of religion. That's a 33% jump since 2013. And my source on that is the Public Religion Research Institute. And it's observable. It's called the PRRI. Found them. This is quicker now than any major religious shift in modern U.S. history. And Axios, A-X-I, I know a lot of you know that, A-X-I-O-S. That's my source there. Here's another email from Colorado Springs. My current news source of choice right now is Fox News. Hang on for that. Let me get the other guest in here, and then we'll do that one. Tell me why you don't go to church. I mean, I think it's an interesting question. Within the Republican Party, more members of the Republican Party go to church than Democrats. Among Republicans, among white Christians, 68%. Among Democrats, 34%. And I think there's some good conversation there as well. 303-696, don't be afraid, 303-696-1971. Why don't you go to church? And was there a reason? There's seems to be evidence of a large-scale retreat from Christianity, from religion. And despite these anecdotal and media reports that we hear daily about Gen Z, and all these young men are going back to church, it doesn't look like it's the truth. What's the causation? All right, we're waiting to go again. Don in Colorado Springs, you're on the radio show. Thank you and good morning.
Yes, I sent that text and I meant to say it's progressive. Liberal progressive worldview, and it's built, I'd say, and part of it is humanism and atheism. It's kind of part of that.
Where do parents play? Where do parents play out in this? I mean, my dad took me to church.
Well, I mean, and it's like what Charles Francis Potter said, that the public school system is a school of humanism, and that a 5-day-a-week program in the public education cannot counter a Sunday school or a worship service.
Why does it matter?
It matters because it's where your worldviews are built. I mean, like the Catholic Church, if you believe in the Bible, you try to believe in the law of God, the Ten Commandments. You may view it as history, as what Ken Ham and his Creation Museum is trying to promote.
Yeah, I've seen that. But why is the country undergoing the fastest religious shift in modern history? The rapid increase in people leaving churches, and churches closing, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, and not all churches are necessarily conservative churches. I mean, there are progressive churches, there's Unitarian churches, and all of that.
Dan, listen to me, Don. Once again, it's an umbrella over churches, temples, shuls, whatever you want to call it. They're all conclusive. In other words, the numbers of religious houses of worship, if you want to say it that way, but the closing number is significant.
It is. And I mean, you're going to find out which ones are going to stay and which ones are going to go and which one's thriving and all of that. It's broad.
Did you go to church as a kid?
No, until I started going until probably when I was entering middle school.
All right. Who took you?
My dad took me once, and then I started taking myself and other people in my peer group. Okay.
How do you explain the decline in church going? I don't know if you can rest it on public schools. I'm sure it's
not entirely, but I mean I also said they're viewed as social clubs. I don't want to hang around with them. I could go to the bar or find an alternative to that. That's just another factor. That's all. I'm just saying that's there's not just one factor, but I'd say that's probably the main factor, especially when you have Charles Francis Potter and John Dunphy saying that the public education system is the place where we teach humanism.
Great call. Thanks for your time. 303-696-1971. Why don't you? No one has called yet and said why they don't go to church. We got some texting. Why don't you go to church?
Your 710 5-day forecast, mild and sunny today, much colder tomorrow. This afternoon, highs around 60 degrees with a westerly wind shifting northeast into the evening. Clouds rapidly pick up and lows will drop to the low 20s. During the night, could see a quick couple inches of snow in the metro by Sunday morning. Scattered snow showers will give way to partly cloudy skies Sunday. Highs near 30, lows in the mid-teens. Monday, sunny, highs low 40s, sunny, low 50s Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNU U.S. Weather Center.
Find your jam. It's a Saturday morning, 27 December 2025. Here comes some weather, 61 the high today, and then here it comes in on a Sunday. I'm back. I get to work for the fellows on Monday, Tuesday of next week. We'll talk about media deserts coming up and why don't you go to church. The snow's flying. The ski resorts are finally getting some snow and things are going to straighten out. It's time for an upgrade, and there's only one on your equipment. There's only one place to go. It's Larson Ski and Sport. John Marriott and his son and Paul and everybody that works there. These are the guys, the newest inventory. Trust me, the service is incredible. They got everything you need from top-tier performance skis and snowboards, the best jackets, apparel, K2, Rossignol, Nordica, new skis. And remember this, when your kids and grandkids are learning, whether it's boarding or skiing, rent. You buy them, next year they're worthless because the kid is now bigger. So whether you're a downhill daddy or a powder hound, and Larson's will fit you perfectly. Forget the big box stores. Larson's staff is the expertise you need and incredible value. I think I've represented John for over 20 years. Stop in today. Ask for John Marriott. Tell him Peter Boyles sent you. On the way up the hill or the way home, you find them. If you didn't get what you wanted for Christmas in terms of skis or boots or poles or a board, this big wooden building, and it's just south of I-70 on Kipling. You're westbound on I-70, get off on the Kipling exit, come down the ramp, make a left, come under I-70, come out on the other side, get your gear, get the mountain, have a great winter. These are our friends, Larson Ski and Sport, south of I-70 on Kipling. Shopping now, it's great after Christmas, 303-423-0654, or visit larsonsport.com. It's larsonsport.com. All right, we start at the top. Ron in Colorado Springs, you're on the show. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Pete.
Morning to you.
I was raised in Assembly of God Church in Nebraska, and we went to church regularly with my mom. Dad would never attend. And when we moved to Colorado, she just quit going, and of course we did too as kids. And it wasn't involved at all until I met my wife at about, I think I was 24. She wanted to go to church, and we attended regularly. I started going back again, and it was New Life Church. And ultimately, when her father passed away, she took it pretty hard, and she went to one of the elders to get some consoling. And basically, after the conversation, he asked, "Where do you tithe?" Well, of course, we tithe there. But he said, and we also were giving money to a televangelist. And he said, well, you need to seek help from him if you're sending him your money. And he put the $ attached to getting any more help or support. So she quit, and she will never go back to church again. I've tried to encourage her, but she's done. And part of the reason I'm not inclined to do it is I get tired of hearing the same messages over and over and over. I mean, the parables and the Bible and stuff. I need a more intellectually based conversation.
It's difficult. It's very difficult. When you start to pursue the truth, a lot of question marks jump up.
Yes, and my daughter, who was raised a Christian and even privately homeschooled, we still maintain the Christian values. We just don't go to church. And she's now studying Buddhism and all these world religions. Sure. I think she's kind of searching. But anyway, that was the answer to your question, why this individual doesn't go.
I mean, there's a lot of people that just apparently upset some people this morning to ask that question. But, you know, as we say, reality always deals off the bottom of the deck. And the evidence is pretty overwhelming that people have quit going to, regardless of the religious institution, that they've dropped out. They've pulled away. 57% of Americans today do not identify. I mean, that's significant. It was 40% in the year 2000. So in 25 years, they've picked up some significant gains in why people have quit church.
Well, it's changing our culture, and that ultimately will change the laws.
You're right.
You referenced that young people, it was being pushed to more young people going to church.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that.
I don't either.
But I do believe more young people are searching spiritually to find a place, to place their heart.
How old are you?
76.
All right. Well, you're in the ball game. So, if you remember the '60s, when all the when you remember the Maharishi and every crackpot religious movement came into this country,
the Moonies,
the Moonies, Scientology. I'll give you the list, and it offered whatever the hell it offered. I never got it, but that just came in and took a big swipe out of the mainstream because people saw the mainstream as part of establishment, and so
right.
they went to bigger crooks. They did. I don't know, but the studies are secure.
Well, my mom used to send money to Jimmy Swaggart.
There you go.
Numerous televangelists, and even after he was busted, so to speak, she was still supportive of him and wanted to contribute. So
the Jim Baker, after writing, he wrote a book called. He was in penitentiary and for the con jobs that he ran, and you think that this guy, but he came out and boom, there he is. He's still running the scam. So I don't know.
Who was Jimmy Swaggart had a cousin who was into country.
No, it's Jerry Lee Lewis, Mickey Gilley, and Jimmy. Yeah. They all have Lee in their name, and they're from a place. Why do I know this? They're from a place called Faraday, Louisiana, and their grandfather, whose last name was Lee, was the head of the Klan in Faraday. And
wow.
All three can play piano. All three are gifted. I saw Mickey Gilley live. I love Mickey Gilley. He's gone now. Jimmy Swaggart's gone, and Jerry Lee's gone. But they were all three from that group.
Mickey Gilley always looked like he was having more fun than cousin Jimmy.
Well, there's a wonderful book about them, and Jerry Lee, the whole lot of shaking going on, Jerry Lee, and he had passed out literally on in a concert, and Jimmy Swaggart walked on the stage, and everybody was aghast, and he said, "I've come to take my cousin home," and he took him home.
Wow!
There's so many stories about those three, and Mickey he had that bar called Gilley's in Pasadena, Texas.
Wasn't that where the urban cowboy or
absolutely
riding the horse? Yeah,
absolutely.
No. But you have a good weekend, though.
Thank you, sir. Be safe. Thank you. Email Peter, longtime listener, looking at the Gallup poll now in support of your first caller, even though churches show a decrease, Judaism, and again, I understand what you're saying, a 7% increase. But it's when you're doing statistical variances, you can't exclude, you just include. And that may keep the number from even going further down. And the category greatly skews the data to the other groups. No, there's a 24% drop with Catholicism, and then somebody sends me, Catholic Church is rising. What this does, it includes everybody, would you please? And that's the way you look at it. We go to Andy in Westminster. Thanks, Andy. You're on the show.
Hey.
So,
again, I don't have any research. I can just tell you what I see. I've been a pretty devout Catholic for a number of years. I think COVID definitely threw a wrench in a lot of things because I've seen, I showed back up at Mass. As soon as the doors opened, nobody was there. And then just gradually you start seeing them fill back in. I think what you saw too, though, is the people that weren't truly committed or true believers just kind of go, I'm out.
Regardless, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but regardless of who they are, they quit. They're not there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think you have I know that you kind of have a past in it and you've kind of like fallen away, but you might have already heard the one scripture of Christ would rather have you hot or cold, not lukewarm. And I think a lot of the lukewarm people decided, I'm out. I don't need it.
But COVID is not, well, that's maybe the response after COVID, and then they go, why? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that they got away from like the people that just went out of obligation or societal pressure, especially in like small towns where your neighbor knows what you're doing and holds you accountable. I think you saw those people fade away, and they were like, I don't need it. This gives me the out. And I think you have that.
I mean, when I was gearing up for the show, I'm an old man. But when I was a boy, every kid in our neighborhood, the best of my knowledge, went to church.
Yeah, but look at your neighborhood. It was a community neighborhood. You had your community bar, right, where Uncle Billy went and sat in the bar, and people knew him. It was his bar, just like you had your church. And so when old lady Stone down the street saw you acting like a jackass, she'd call you out and say, I'm going to tell your mom at the grocery store when I see her. We don't have that community anymore.
But, your point's well taken. But I once did and again, it's weak, but it's what I grew up with was nobody's parents were divorced. Nobody's as poor as some folks were, nobody's mother worked outside the home with a career. My mom.
Same with me. Yeah. I'm a little younger than you, but there was one girl in my elementary school, and it was scandalous that her parents weren't together.
Well,
and I work in the schools now. I tell you the amount of mental health issues.
Please.
So I'm not disagreeing that the faithful aren't in the pews anymore, because there is a connection to the amount of youth suicides and mental health issues that are going on. Just go to any public school and walk through there's a problem.
But is that because they don't go to church? In other words,
hey, I'm just saying it looks like it.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Because
it's a great call.
As a teacher, and I don't want to offend anybody, but as a teacher, you sit there and go, that kid's parents are together, that kid's parents aren't. That family goes to church, that family doesn't. You can see a success rate in the quality of student based off of intact families and someone that has a faith that holds them together. I see a lot of anxiety, and it's scary among these kids who don't go to mass or go to any kind of service that holds them grounded. Whether you think it's nonsense or not, it's something that holds kids.
Listen, stop right there. Andy, stop right there. I don't think it's nonsense. What I'm saying to you is what I watched as a boy, but there was a lot of other stuff that we didn't know about, but every kid's, the parents were together with the exception of a kid that I played ball with, and his dad was killed in the Second World War. But
100%.
But his uncle would come,
and I know guys. And you had community members, men that would step up, and if they didn't have an uncle that would help raise those kids, or they were at church.
My grandson played quarterback for his football team this year, and I don't talk about it. But going to the games, I went to all the games. And there were parents. I mean, there were parents that came, and I don't know who they were, but there were people that came and cheered. When I was a kid, I played baseball and I boxed, and we played at a place I've written about it called Davidson Field, and it was the air shaft for the Newfield coal mine was right behind third base, and the coal miners would come and watch the game, and they were brutal. It was and I saw grown men fight, all that kind of stuff, but I always thought it was like part of it, and everybody went to church. Nobody's mom. My mom would go to work when they needed dough. She worked at Sears. When they needed dough, she'd go get a job. Other than that, she stayed home. It was a different boogie, a different world, and we went to church. And the old man made sure we went to church. It wasn't one of those, here I am volunteering to go to church. Get up. I don't know if you went through that. Yeah.
For sure, and there's a lot of issues why society's kind of collapsing morally. I truly say, just from my observations, and again, no data, just from my observations, but I think you have to give it some credibility.
What? But
there's the lack of stability in young people's lives is causing a lot of issues.
But
whether you're dumping your kid in a daycare center and having somebody that doesn't truly 100% care about them, who raises them, and mom's not there to kind of push on her morals or her beliefs,
all things
or any
aside,
of those things, that's a piece. And then the piece of you just don't have this higher being of purpose that's in the center of your life.
I got a minute and I got a break.
Falling apart.
But what I would say, variables in the model, but the model is a decline in church going, an overwhelming, and called. They gave it a headline.
And it's affecting society.
Great. What do you teach? Real quick, what do you teach?
I teach math.
Ooh, guys, I can't do it. So thank you. Great, great, Andy. Right away this morning. Great calls. Thank you, sir. Be kind. Thanks, man. It's Saturday, December the 27th, 2025. We got snow coming into Cast. I read these lengthy studies, decline in church going. Also something called media deserts. We have a guest coming up in studio. We'll come back to this in open lines. 710 KNUS Denver's talk station. Hold on. Lines are jammed. The guest is in studio for the next hour. It's a Saturday, the 27th of December. 61 will be the high, and then here it comes. And we got snow and everything coming in. Weather changes tomorrow. Happy to talk to you today about our friends at Water Pros. And Water Pros cares about the quality of your water. This is legit. They remove forever chemicals and microplastics and hard water with Water Pros. Peter Boyles special for, well, first of all, just make the call. Start the process and go to waterpros.net and sign up for your free in-home consultation. They come to your home. They test the water. That's the gimme. That's the free one. Answer all your questions and concerns about your water. I trust these guys, and you will as well. Water Pros is a family-owned and veteran-owned business dedicated to providing you the best in water treatment for less than the other guys. We have it in the home. It works. It's great. Waterpros.net. Request your free water test. Perfect time, 303-864-5554, 303-862-5554, 303-862-5554. Ask for the Peter Boyles special, but they come and test your water and show you the results. It's a wise thing to do for the new year. All right, the issue, the question, a decline in church going. Where do we go from here? Which one, Adam? Who do you like? Dave? All right, we get down to line 3. Dave and Severance, you're on the show. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. What a great topic. A lot to unpack, and ironically, I think most of the pieces are in my suitcase. I call myself a recovering Catholic. Huh? And my first wife and I decided that we would wait. I went to church religiously with my folks as a kid, and then when we got married outside of the church, and my mom said, well, you better talk to the church, because I was very involved. I was giving communion, I was reading from the pulpit, I was very involved, and I sat down with the Monsignor, who said the church doesn't recognize your marriage in the eyes of God. And
I went through that.
And the laws.
I know that one.
Yeah, they said the laws of the church are and I went, wait a minute, the what? The laws. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I just got to thinking about, the church ruled the land back then. They were the law. And they, the Spanish Inquisition and all and
they're called, they're theocracies. They're the religion is the state. In Islam, you see that, particularly in Iran and some of the Islamic states. The faith is the government, is the faith.
Exactly. And that scared the hell out of me, and I stopped going. And at that point, we decided when we had a child that we were going to wait till she got older and then expose her to different religions and let her choose. And we never did that. And I think your last caller makes a good point. I believe there is something to, it all starts with the family unit that's gone. And I think there is a need for some kind of a base, some kind of a higher power in your thinking. And I'm actually a little happy or thrilled to say that my second daughter from my second marriage, she's 27 now, and never went, we did a few trips to church, very non-denominational stuff. And at 27, she's decided that she needs something in her life, and she just went through catechism, and she decided to join the Catholic Church.
Were you taken to church when you were a kid?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's, as a Gen Zer, is saying, my generation has nothing that, and that's part of the problem in her mind. They don't have anything to hold on to, nothing to latch on to, all the divorce, all the separate families.
But isn't it...
She just decided she needs some kind of something to believe in.
I mean, if you're, again, looking at numbers, and 57, this is, I think, the most significant part of the study. 57% of Americans today seldom or never attend. And in the year 2000, the number was 40%. And that's a legit survey. It's a Gallup. You could present it in school for your thesis. You could use Gallup, and that's a huge jump. Listen to this one. 15,000 churches are expected to shut their doors this year.
Wow.
Why?
Well, because people aren't going. They can't afford to stay open.
No, I understand that because there's nobody in there putting money in the plate, right?
Right. There's so much to it all, and that teacher that was on last, I think, made some good points, and what he sees in his classrooms is very real, and I believe that the family unit has disappeared for that same percentage, damn near.
One of the things in reading the studies, and the old religious map that you guys were talking about and I lived is disappearing. There's a new map. It's digital, it's secular, it is decentralized, and it's deeply fragmented, and it's only now beginning to take shape. And that's my conclusion. If you look at this, and I've read these studies, and I spent a couple of days gearing up, the new map, the old religious map in America is disappearing. This new one that's digital, it's secular, it's decentralized, and it's deeply fragmented. And this, Dave, is the beginning. It's only the beginning taking shape. And this anecdotal stuff that you hear on this radio station about young Gen Z men returning to church, there's little evidence of that. It's nice to say it on a radio show, but there's little evidence that it's happening beyond sort of scattered examples to reverse this overall decline. And
do you feel like that has an impact on the moral beliefs in our country anymore?
As a reader of Marx talks about the role that religion plays, and it's the opiate of the people. That he's viewing industrial Europe and Germany, and these people were grinding out 12-hour, 7-day-a-week, horrible places. But then the churches are telling them there's a heaven waiting for you.
Right.
And they did it in slavery. There's pie in the sky when you die. I don't know. I'm an old man, and I'm a reader, and I'm a watcher, and I'm a listener. Something's going on. And the battle for your soul. You have to tell me.
When you look at what these kids are exposed to at very young ages.
Oh yeah.
The internet, the pornography. They say that something like 80% of kids have seen pornography before the age of 10.
Yeah.
Or 11.
And you and I watched, or we took the Sears and Roebuck, and we opened it up and saw the big lunch lady braziers. That was it.
Yeah.
I got to guess.
Or National Geo.
Oh, National Geo was. Safaris. That was big time. Dave, thank you so much. Wonderful call. The first hour is full of great calls. Now we do a turnaround, right? What time it is here? It's 9:53. In studio is Joe Mahoney. And I've been reading this term, and it's real, called media deserts. And he teaches at Metro. We'll spend an hour with him, and then we'll come back to this question that why don't you go to church, and why have you quit? And it seems to spring a lot of different people to talk. So 61 the high today, and then here it goes down to 20 tonight, and then 31, and then snow, and then here it comes. It's about time. We ready to go? Can we do this? Hit the button. We come back. 710 KNUS. We're Denver's talk station. Stay here.